Let's go. Come on, we got another one here, the Lil Mosey problem solving music video. Today I'm going to be showing you how young Tada did these paper rip effects. He did it throughout the music video as a transition. I think it's really fire, and I have a simple way to do it in just Premiere Pro. So let's get into it. What's good? We're back in this thing. If you're new here, what's good? My name is Brian. I make music video tutorials here on YouTube. And today we're going to be going over these paper rip effects that were done in the problem solving music video for Lil Mosey, directed by young Tada, edited by him as well. If you're not familiar with him, shout out young Tada. I'll have his Instagram link below. Be sure to shoot him a follow. Show some love on his page. Super fire director. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do that. I upload 3 times a week, primarily music video effects, similar to these, and a bunch of other styles. Also, if you haven't already liked and commented, I'd really appreciate it if you did that. It helps push my content to other people, as well as lets me know if this video is interesting to you guys and you want to see more like this. But yeah, that's enough talking. Let's get into the video and break down this effect. All right, so now that we're in Premiere, I'm just going to be showing you the effect that we're talking about here, and here's the example. It's this paper stacking effect. I have a tutorial on this effect in particular already, as well as another one that he does throughout the music video, this one right here. So if you're interested in those, go ahead and check them out. I'll have the links to them down in the description. But actually the tutorial I did on this paper stacking effect was a while ago, and it was with the V1 of my pack. I'm gonna be showing you it with the V2 of my pack. I think I improved this portion of it a lot, as well as I'm gonna be showing you how to do it just in Premiere Pro. The tutorial I had before was Photoshop and Premiere. It's definitely a good one if you wanna learn how to go more in depth and maybe tweak the looks of the papers and get a more accurate look. But if you want something quick, I think it does the job. Honestly, I kind of found the sauce when it comes to using just Premiere. It's gonna save you a lot of time, as well as I think the looks are very, very similar. So first, what you really want to do is you just want to find like anywhere from, I don't know, like 5 to 10 photos. It really doesn't matter. You can do it as quick or as long of a transition as you want. I think we're going to stick around 8 of the screenshots that pop up in these paper stacks. So example, there's going to be 8 of these in total for the R transition, but you can do as many or as little as you want. And I think that's where the big improvement for the V2 of the texture pack comes along. If you're watching this video right now, the V2 is out for Patreon supporters. If you're interested in snagging it a little bit early, you can go and check out the Patreon. I'll have it linked down below. It gives you access to get this exclusively a little earlier. If not, you're watching it like a week later or whatever, this should be out. I think I'm going to be dropping it the 26th of July, so stay tuned for that. But this tutorial can be followed with V1 or V2 of the pack. I just like V2 personally because it has a lot more options. If you can see here, the V1 only has 16 of these black sheets. And for this transition, we're going to be using 8 of them right off the bat. If you wanted it to be a little bit more original and have a less of a copy and paste look, I think that's where the V2 really helps you out, because you do have 51 different textures to go through, so it would be hard to like see the same one throughout the music video. But yeah, if you want to snag it early, go ahead and support me on Patreon. It's also going to include the project file to this whole tutorial, so you're basically going to be able to get the footage, get all the screenshots, and you'll be able to kind of work a little bit more quickly. So if you wanted to kind of start off right here where I'm at in the tutorial without having to download the footage and take these screenshots and stuff and just practice the effects, it's a great way to do it, as well as support the channel. So I already went ahead and did most of the screenshots. I'm just going to take one on screen recording just so you can understand how to do it. Basically, what you're going to want to do is go to this export frame button when you find a screen from the video you like. You can do this with pictures too, so if you took pictures during the music video, you can do that and you don't have to take screenshots from the video. But assuming you didn't take photos, this is how you get a still image from your project already lined out here. So you can go ahead and click the export frame button or click Control-Shift-E. If you don't see the option for the camera down here, you can go to this plus button editor and then go ahead and drag it into the toolbar down here, click OK, and then click on the picture frame. And then I just like naming them like 1 through whatever number you're doing. So for example, we'll name it 1 here, and then make sure to click Import into Project. Also, make sure you're saving to a spot where you know where it is, just in case you want to access it or whatever, and then click OK, and it should import it into your project. So now you can see we have that 1 PNG that we imported, as well as the other 7 that I did before that. And now all you're going to want to do is really just find 2 clips you want to transition between. For example, these 2 clips look good for me. I just cut out one of his transitions that he actually did in the music video, so there actually was one here. And then just find some screenshots that you like. You can do, like I said, as many or as little as you want. We have 8 screenshots here, but I don't know if I'm going to use them all. I'm just going to go ahead and drag in one of the pictures here. And then what we're going to need is some kind of paper textures. So if you're following along and you have the V2, you can use whatever one you think looks cool. The ones that are closest to the one done in this music video are going to be 26 through 51, but I'm going to be using these new ones here because I don't know, we haven't really used them too much and I just think they look cool. So I'm gonna drag on just one for right now, the black rip 16, and I'm just gonna make it the full duration of this one PNG here. Right click on it because it is 4K and the footage I'm working with is 1080. It's scaled in a bunch. So I'm gonna go ahead, right click on the black rip, go to scale to frame size. That should scale it down a little bit. And then I'm also just gonna scale it down a little bit more so it just takes up maybe like that much of the image. Then what you need to do is go to effects and type in track matte key and drag that onto the screenshot itself. So not the black rip sheet, but the screenshot of the clip. And then you want to go ahead and see where matte is. Make sure you click the video layer that your paper rip is on. You can easily find that by the V and then the number on the left-hand side over here. So the easiest way I always do is just click so it highlights and then you could trace it over here and it says V3. So we're gonna go here and go to video layer 3 and you can see it has those details, but you can't see the paper itself. So to do that, go ahead and drag up holding Alt on your keyboard on the paper texture that you're using, and that should duplicate it. And then on the top paper texture layer, go ahead and turn that one to screen. And now you can see you have this screenshot that looks like it's ripped onto paper of your screenshot. And then next, find the next screenshot you wanna use here. We'll have Mosey with some money. And then just find another paper texture that you like, scale the frame size, and then scale it in a little bit just how we did before. And you can just copy the track matte over and then turn to screen. You can see this is a lot faster. Obviously this isn't the transition right here, but I like having all of the paper rips made and then we can go ahead and do the transition. And if you go ahead and copy the track matte, just make sure the video layer still aligns with your paper texture. So it's easiest just to keep them in the exact same order. For example, the screenshot, then the track matte layer, so whatever layer it's gonna be based off, and then the screen layer of the paper rip. So for this, we'll do like one or two more because it's basically just the same concept over and over again. And then we'll find another one here. We'll use black rip 20, scale, zoom down a little bit, and then screen, and then make sure to copy that track matte over. And we'll do one more. And find one last black rip that we want. Scale the frame size, scale it down a little bit, bring it up, screen, and then paste that track matte. Then after that, I'm gonna highlight each one of these individually like this. Right click, create nest, and go to 1. And then I'm gonna do the same thing, nest 2, highlight nest 3, and right click and nest 4. Right now, I would just recommend having all of these nested sequences last a decent amount of frames because it doesn't matter. We can always shorten the nested sequence, but it's harder to make the nested sequence longer after you've already nested it. Then after that, I'm gonna go 4 frames to the left of the split clip where the clips change. If I turn off the layer, you can see clips are changing here. So I'm gonna go 4 frames to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then go ahead and move the first one to pop up then. We can turn back on the layer so we can see what we're doing. Then go 1, 2 frames over, drag that 2 and put it on top. And now you can go ahead and scale and move the paper wherever, so basically however you want it to stack. Maybe you don't want it dead center every single time, so we could have it move over here, over to the right, change the rotation of it. Then 1, 2. We'll drag that 3 up here, and then 1, 2, one last time, and have that 4 pop up, and then do whatever we want with it. And you can see, since it's a lighter clip, the paper textures don't show up as well. So if you wanted to go ahead and change the look of the paper textures really easily, actually, you can go into that nested sequence, go to that top paper rip layer, and then go to Lumetri color, and then go to the curves, and you can click right in the middle in the dead center. And if you want the paper textures to be more apparent, you can drag this line up, and if you want to be less apparent and less noticeable, you can drag it down. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just copy and paste that Lumetri color onto all of the paper layers just to make it consistent, as well as make them a little bit more noticeable because the clips we have are a little lighter. It's all going to be dependent on your clip. Most simplistic way to do it into Premiere. If you want a more in-depth way to make the papers look a little bit more realistic and stuff, I'd recommend checking out that tutorial that I have that uses Photoshop because it's a lot easier to get a more realistic look in Photoshop. With that being said, I still think this looks really, really good for how quick you can do this transition. And then I just went ahead and chopped the transition to end after the 4th frame comes up in last 2 frames. So now you can see, if it stack up, and that's a pretty quick transition right there. Some things I do to spice it up is go ahead to effects and add drop shadow, just so it kind of has a little bit of depth between the photos themselves. I'm gonna drag the opacity up to 100, the distance down, and then maybe just the softness to like 18 or something, so it just has a little bit of diffusion. And then copy and paste that drop shadow onto all of these nested layers. And now you can see if I turn off that drop shadow, you look in these corners over here, you can see with it on and with it off here. I think it just adds a little bit. Obviously you can play around with the softness or whatever, make it whatever you want it to look like. And then one last thing, just to add a little bit more of some sauce to it and have a little bit more movement and just make it look more fluid. I'm gonna highlight all these nested sequences and then right click and nest them themselves and name this paper stacking 1. I just name it that just in case you do it throughout the music video or whatever, you know which one's which. And then go to effects, type in transform, and then drag that onto the paper stacking, and then keyframe the scale, go to the end and just scale it in to whatever you want it to go to, or scale it out, or change the position, basically whatever you guys want. And then if you go ahead and change the shutter angle to 180, it's gonna have that natural motion blur in it, and it's gonna make it look a lot better. So trust me, go ahead and do that. If you drag it above 180, it's gonna have way more of a motion blur. I think 180 looks the most realistic, but play around with it and see whatever you like best. And then we can play the transition and we have something really quick. Just serves as a good transition between 2 clips. I really like this effect because you don't even really have to stack them. You can take concepts that we did from this tutorial and make your own effect out of it. So that's what I really like about this one. And then one last thing we're gonna do to sauce this up and make it feel complete is just add some sound effects to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and import a camera flash sound and paper crumble sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that camera flash on, and that's really, really loud right off the start. I'm just gonna go ahead and maybe like minus 7.5 on the gain. Just bring it down a little bit. Also, I can't really hear too well because it's playing on my speaker down below. I don't want the mic to pick it up during the tutorial. But obviously just play with the levels depending on your song and whatever you're doing. It's better just to hear it out in each project. Obviously there's no music playing or whatever. And then I like just dragging a fade on depending on how harsh the cutoff of the clip is. So I think it just makes it a little bit smoother. And then I'm also going to add a paper crumble effect. And just drag something like that on. I'll solo that real quick. And then just cut it right when the paper ends. And maybe make that a little bit louder. Again, I can't really hear too well what it actually sounds like level-wise, but hopefully it's decent. And then because we have that camera flash, I just want to add one last thing to sell the camera flash look. I'm just going to go ahead and add an adjustment layer and then drag that above the clip for maybe a few frames, go to effects, and then type in contrast, and then go ahead and drag on brightness and contrast. And I'm going to go right to the frame where the camera sound hits and the first picture comes up on the adjustment layer, bring the brightness to 100, and then maybe the contrast up a little bit as well. I'm going to go 1 frame backwards, reset both of those, and then go, I don't know, like 3 frames to the right of that, maybe 2, 3, whatever, and reset it again. Now you can see there's that bright flash and kind of sells that camera flash sound effect. So if you want to follow along and use the same footage and screenshots as myself, as well as I'll even include the sound effects that I used in this tutorial, you can go ahead and support me on Patreon. It's going to give you access to all my packs of presets early, so you'll be able to purchase the V2 before everyone else. Right now it is out for Patreon supporters, but it is not out to the public yet. As well as you're going to get a discount on that, exclusive Discord role, and all of the project files for my tutorials, as well as the footage that I used to edit on them. It's a great way to support the channel, as well as learn how to edit. So if you're interested in that, I'll have that link down below, as well as my website for the V1 and V2 if you're watching this in the future. But yeah, guys, if you made it all the way to the end, like always, I do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe, go ahead and do all that YouTube stuff. Support the channel. Check out my packs and presets on my website. I'll have them linked down below. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you guys in this one. Peace.